we'll get our entrepreneurs pitching an idea. And there will come a point where I will ask the dragons to value it. And when we do that, maybe you can type in a number in the chat window. Just type in the number you think. I'll explain everything as we go along, explain to everyone else. But maybe you can type it into the chat feature and we'll see what your votes are here on screen. So if we stick the chat window up there, does that make sense, everyone online? I'll explain it a bit more, but we'll try and involve you. Okay. Our entrepreneurs are just preparing themselves. Yes, thank you, Stephen. Can we get the side bit where it shows the yeah. Let's see how we go. Thank you.
Maybe we can reach out all remote.
That's on my phone.
No, this one. Yeah. Is this on the go? Is no, he's not one of them. He's next to one of them.
Can you go a coffee?
I'll go get some. Oh, you mean budget? No budget. You need to come back.
Fund for the
Practice. Much. Budget, you mean? I don't know what his name was. Yeah, he's coming on with budget. Oh. Right, he's actually. No, here is just like online. Right. So the my bot. You are customers are well to sponsor
funding. So you have an idea and they will give you the money if they want to invest in your idea.
Yeah.
Short. So they are the investors. Dragons are investors.
We can put them to come back. So what they call dragons?
This is like for.
I'm sure that Trump was in this, wasn't he? Didn't he get to you're fired.
He was in American.
You're
fired.
Yeah.
No, that is The Apprentice. That is something another show.
Was it different from?
Yeah, with
from the
teams.
thing?
Yeah.
You don't watch it either. So I haven't got television.
No,
No,
it's different.
it comes on
With teams. So the one with The Apprentice is with teams and they are given tasks. So
tasks.
Yeah, like marketing kind of to sell things. So it's more like
That's a lot for them to understand out there in 5 minutes. They're good.
What's your name?
Alina.
Anita?
Alina.
Alina.
Yeah.
Alina, come and sit here.
You are not one of the experts.
You are not the entrepreneur, but you are going to be one of the drugs.
Yeah. I saw some.
Yes, Stephen Booth is saying that Trump was American Alan Sugar.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but that is a different show. The Apprentice.
The Apprentice, yes. I watched one episode of that one.
Yeah, it's a more series. So every season they have they film more episodes of these tasks.
All I know is that's how he got famous. And that's why he's president. Because everybody knew him from the television. It's all to do with name recognition. It's the same with Boris Johnson. He was very high visibility. So people vote for people they know. You've never heard of
Our entrepreneur should be with us in a couple of minutes.
Do they have the same brief? Are they working together as one team?
Yes, they are working as one brief, and sorry, I forgot. There is a brief, I should have given you this to read while you were waiting. I'm sorry, people online, I guess I should post this.
Yeah, I'm really good at online.
I should post this online to people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Or you read it thank you.
You two are going to be over here. Would you like to take your seats, please, dragons? Sit down, please. What do you want to say? Many people are signing up for it. You. So, everyone on camera, remember people there. We are going to play Dragon's Den. We've got entrepreneurs here, backs to people on camera at the moment, and we've got some dragons over here, some potential investors. And our entrepreneurs are going to pitch us a product idea, and then our dragons are going to quiz them, and then we're going to work through some features, and we're going to try and put some value on those features, and we're going to have some fun as we go along. So the game will unfold. Entrepreneurs, would you like to start your pitch, please? Where's put my phone?
How is that value is?
I will explain. Let them pitch.
We're starting at the thing that we are promoting is built on two parts essentially. One is a small device that can be attached to a pet, and that is then linked to an online website which will give details of various aspects of the pet that can be provided by the device, such as where it, in the broad sense, where it is, what its mood is, how it's feeling, and so on, which will allow the pet owner to understand the pet while being remote from it. It will apply to various different types of pets. So there will be, so that, for example, we've been thinking about pets such as dogs, where often it's the case that the pet owner is with the dog in multiple different places, going out for walks and so on, and very much therefore interested in location. There'll be other types of pets, such as horses, for example, which might go out with the owner sometimes, but they spend most of their time away from the owner. And then possibly very, very small pets, such as hamsters, which spend most of their time confined to a fairly small space, whether the owner is with them or not with them. So we're offering then a device that is attached to the pet to monitor its location and other aspects. You can start off with an initial fee that gives you a small amount of services, and then you can pay extra for more elaborate and complicated aspects of it. And that really is it in summary.
So, are you going to take a seat forward?
Yeah, we have Allan here as well.
Any questions for the entrepreneurs about this device?
So are you going to sell it direct?
We haven't really approached that aspect of it in our.
We're doing market research.
We're doing market research. We are currently doing market research. So we could sell it by advertising in pet magazines and so on. Possibly doing deals with or partnerships rather than deals with veterinary suppliers and others. So there's possibly a range of different ways of doing it.
We have a question from online. Own or implemented? Own or implemented?
We have initially contemplated WARN, but we are reviewing the possibility of implanting it.
Thank you.
So how many sizes will there be? Because the size for a big dog would be quite different from a hamster.
We will start with a medium-sized one, and depending upon take up and consultation with the user groups and such to work out the opportunities for clearly for a larger anticipating that a larger size might be appropriate for something like a horse and a smaller size for something like a pet mouse. But we will start with what our research suggests is sort of what we might call a core to establish the operational experience, to get feedback from customers, and then we will then branch out.
So definitely rodents, small rodents are going to be within the scope.
They're within the initial scope. Yes.
How safe is it?
Our initial trials have shown that there have been no noticeable ill effects from medium-sized animals, who are our initial one, and other researchers has identified no reason to suspect any problems with larger or smaller creatures.
What's the benefit to the owner?
The benefit to the owner, we've got several benefits. We've got some of these cards, but essentially the benefit for the owner is understanding about the health of the animal with a device actually attached to it, which gives more accuracy than just essentially looking at it, and the GPS aspects of it, say for free-ranging animals, means that you can be sure by looking on your device or on a website as we're planning, you can understand where it is remotely without actually having to go out and see it.
So do you see it competing with trackers?
It is a form of tracker. So yes,
So, so your competition would be trackers as well, would it? Not just as a health device.
Yes, but other devices that are purely showing where something is, yes. But we will be complementing that with information about the animals, say health, well-being, and so on. So therefore, we will have a added functionality compared to trackers, which will give us, I think, an advantage for those people who are interested in knowing more than just where something is.
Is it waterproof?
Yes, it will be.
To what?
It is. To the we have
there's certain standards you can.
there are some standards. Yes, indeed. Yes. So firstly, it will be waterproof for an animal standing out in rain, but for the version that is not implanted, we have checked that it is waterproof to the water depths that an animal might encounter while fording a river or swimming in inland waterways.
For land animals, so fish is out of scope.
Fishes are out of scope, yes. But it would work. It would be appropriate. It would be compatible, subject to approval of the zoological authorities. It would work with animals such as otters and beavers as well, who are amphibious or spend lots of time in the water.
So is it just a data collector, or does it actually compare the data to what health should be?
The device itself is a data collector. That's all it does. Data is uploaded to the website, which is where we accumulate the data.
Maybe that's a good segue to move from talking about the product as a whole, talking about the features. This product is in development. They have the proof of concept, but they now need to develop all the packaging, the website, the apps, and all the rest of it. So they have a set of features, functionality, stories that the team are thinking about, and they want to pitch them to you, investors, and see how much value you think would be on these stories. So as a starting point, we have one here. This is the pet activity, because we'll track time spent exercising, sleeping, and various other activities. And this is valued at 10,000 business points. And in a moment, I'm going to give you some valuation cards. And if you want to value this one at 10,000, you play the 10,000 card. For those of you who've seen planning poker, this is a variation on that game. So you want to think about how much you think the features are about to pitch are worth relative to pet activity. If you think the feature they're picking is worth twice as much as pet activity, then choose a 20,000 card. If you think it's worth half as much, go for a 5,000 card. Yes? So I'll stick down the wall. Do you want to pitch your first story? And I will. Actually, we can give all of you in the room can have a a set of cards on this occasion. So,
New one.
I believe some of the things they pitch you may think are worthless.
This is dragons.
Yes.
Yeah, this is, it's not Eurovision.
No, no. Now, I am
Haven't scored very good.
forget my blue tack, so I'm just gonna. Oh, this is fabric, this wall, isn't it?
Oh, it is fabric.
That's why I didn't use it last time,
No, it's change though.
I will. Pin it there. It's amazing what you can do with post-it notes. Okay,
Well, I'll start off with three that are essentially technical aspects of it, which we think are very essential to the successful operation.
I have a question from Guillaume, sorry. What word are we taking? Worth how much work, effort that it takes to develop, or worth as functionality, desirability?
how much
Value.
the value of it, forget about technical work, how valuable this one is to the product. We're saying tracking activity is 10,000 business points.
Okay.
We can talk about how much a business point is worth later on. That's for your reference point. We're thinking business value here, not effort technology.
So I've got three here, which I believe are essential to the operation and acceptance of the proposed product. One is that we can track the pet's health on an Android device, one on an iPhone, and one on the website to give us comprehensive access to the information over whichever channels the customer prefers, and that would be comparable with other products offer such a broad scope. So those are 3 points, 3 separate requirements. So tracking by iPhone, by website, and by Android.
Do you want to pitch them as one tracking it all, presenting it all in all 3 formats, or pitch each one individually?
I would pitch them as one.
Okay,
As one with those three aspects to it. Yes.
This is the online dashboard, which we've got the hardware. This is the basic software, which you can see on the website, on an Android phone, and an Apple.
Yes.
Any questions for the entrepreneurs about this feature? Anything you want to understand?
Can you elaborate it more?
Elaborate more. Well, the customer would be provided with a user ID and a password, as would be comparable with other applications. Our system would then verify that is the correct that is someone who's paid their subscriptions. It would then provide access to a list, perhaps if they had more than one animal registered, which of those animals is of particular interest, and they would then be able to choose that animal and then see the information in maps or graphs or numbers as are appropriate to the information that we are holding. But the same information would be available on each of those 3 approaches, but perhaps looking slightly different, tailored to the presentation opportunities with those, but the data would be the same on all of them.
Where is the data stored?
It's stored in the cloud in the modern way, in a data center that we manage by our partners.
So I'd have thought that this is a must-have, that you wouldn't be a viable product without them. You could conceivably, if you've done your market research, maybe drop the Windows version or the online the browser version, but you would need to cover the other 2 platforms. So it's a must-have piece of functionality.
Yes, I mean at the very least there has to be one. At the very least there has to be one of those. There has to be one of those 3.
But if
Yeah.
one of the 3, then that immediately reduces your market share by 50%.
Yes, it does. I mean, that's why we chose to have those three on the basis that it gives us access to more customers. It gives customers choice. So the customer may well have may well be looking at if the customer's own lifestyle that is roaming. They may well wish to access it on the phone when they're out and on their PC when they're in. So it gives customers flexibility.
Customers would see it as being that of high value, but they would see it as being an essential.
Well, that is value. Yes, an essential thing is extremely high. Is extremely high value.
It's probably at least the same value as the baseline value. So it's at least 10,000 because it's
a prerequisite.
It's a prerequisite. Yeah.
Yes, at least one of these is a prerequisite, but we believe that three of them together is
to make it viable.
Makes it more viable. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could make an argument. Could make an argument for doing one and not the other two, but or you could say
Which one, though?
three. Well, the argument for Android is that there's a bigger installed base of Android users,
Is that?
and it's easier to get an app onto the Android store.
But the iPhone users are likely to be more wealthy and they're more likely to spend money on their pets.
iPhone users do spend more. iPhone users on average have a higher income level and do spend more on the Apple store than Android users spend on the Android store. But you paid your money, you take your choice.
Yes. So we will be guided by our investors in this.
But this is one bit of value, all three together. You're not doing it individually.
No, I believe. Well, I'm proposing it as one together. If you wish to
talk him out of it,
if you wish to argue or propose your funding on the basis of one, then we will be open to discussion. But this
correlate the platform that the device that the potential customer would use, then you might find that actually you need to focus in on a smaller target market initially.
Indeed, yes, and I would concede that once we've gone live with the three, we may well find that the specifics of our actual market is different, perhaps, from the general trends of those devices.
We seem to have in the room someone who's an expert in the area of so you've got no expertise to bring to the conversation.
I'm looking at Stephen's comment on the screen here that iPhone is more popular in the US, Android more popular in Europe and Asia. So that might be which market you're going for.
Yes.
And maybe this is when you want to drill the entrepreneurs on.
So this is Europe or US target market?
Well, I was thinking of UK. Yes, we were thinking of UK. We were thinking of UK to start with, on the basis that it will help us to learn a great deal about that one particular market as we start.
And are you doing research on the demographic of who would be?
Yes.
Interested? So that will afford some information as to which of those.
It will, but that information is not currently available. It is with our research company, but it's following. It will follow.
So shall we move to the vote on this one? So have a look at your cards. Those online, get ready to type in a number quite fast. Don't show your card just yet. Choose the card and give to yourself. And if you think it's worth as much as the baseline activity tracking 10,000, you think it's worth 5 times as much 100,000. If you think about it, it's baseline functionality. Don't even bother coming to market if you haven't got it. Maybe you want to put a 0 on it. Your interpretation. What do you think? Choose a card. 3, 2, 1. Show me. 5,000, 10,000, 500,000, 500. Online 10,000. Any more numbers online? Yeah. So 100,000 kind of dwarfs everything else. I'm just going to do a quick average here. When those of you who played planning poker with effort estimates, quite often teams do 2 rounds or they do various works on it. You could do that here, but I'm going to keep it moving on by saying 20,000, 120,000, ignore that. 120,000, 130,000 divided by 2, 4, 630,000 divided by 6 sounds like 22,000. Happy with that? Can I take that card off you? Well, it's these.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just put one of these up. Okay, so do you want to move on to your next card?
So that's sort of an essential feature of this app. What we do have a health alert, which will give you notifications of your if there's any health problem, or if there's any vital signals, or if it suggests that you're maybe in trouble that needed your attention. So that will come to your website, Android phone and iPhone as well. Now that competes with just not the tracking device, and it's not just looking at the diagnostics or the behavior, the health of pet.
That sounds fantastic. I just would, usually in healthcare, which is the area I know, you run into all sorts of regulatory problems and problems of being sued when things don't, when the AI engine decides it's going to deliver something that it thought of is actually true. Have you got any comments around that theme, that this is actually quite difficult? A, it's a difficult thing to do, but B, it's a difficult thing to square off those liabilities which you might end up with if things don't go right.
Yes.
We have a related card here as well,
I suspected you might.
which is to do with our use of our artificial intelligence tools.
Oh, okay. We've done that.
So it's a separate card, but yes, clearly there is certainly at the very least a great opportunity for disappointment if severe health warnings are given that don't. Well, no, that's not just. But certainly people can be very upset if the device says that their pet is unwell when it's not. And similarly, if the device says that the pet is healthy and then something comes up. So we will be working with veterinary experts to provide us with a degree of boundaries, as it were, for the main aspects of the pet's health, so that we can give something that is fair, and certainly towards the higher end. We may well recommend. I think we've got some other card for that. I think recommend that the customer approaches possibly one of our partner veterinary associations to make a proper check, so that the system is giving an alert before there's anything seriously wrong, or indeed that would be then to check that the alert is not a false, it's not completely false. But the idea is to give a degree of reassurance and peace of mind within the sort of the boundaries that are appropriate for the animal species and size.
How have you tested?
We have a number of experts. We have recruited a number of experts who are able to tell us the main parameters for the pet's health, such as heartbeat, temperature, and so on. And there is plentiful evidence in the appropriate journals about the characteristics of the main species that we will be working with, and so our veterinary partners will be checking that and helping us to tune the device. We're in the early stages of testing. We need money. We need the money. We need your money. Yes, we've done a proof of concept. We are engaging with the industry experts to understand the type of data that we need.
So
we
they
have
need to source the data.
No, the data will come from the device that's attached to the animal that will be the basic aspects of its life. We will have reference data from veterinary sources and published journals to tell us what are the boundaries. For example, the maximum and minimum heartbeat for a horse, for example, and dog and other types of animals, so that the actual can be compared with those with those boundaries and appropriate warnings if it's extreme, or not warnings but just a graph or numbers on the device if it's just, it does change anyway just during a normal happy life.
What are the risk factors?
Well, there's no device itself has no risk at all to the animal. The risk if there is a risk is that we fail completely to notice something that is seriously abnormal. That would be a risk, because we are promoting it as helping in the health of the animal. And while there will be a degree of tolerance, if something seriously extreme happens to the animal we don't notice at all, then that is a risk, because the customer may be relying on us, and the animal may suffer harm. And it's possible that if without the device, the customer may have taken the animal to the vet because they're just relying on themselves. But if they're relying on us as well, then we have an extra responsibility to help the customer.
There is a comment from Stephen Booth.
Which one, Booth?
Yes. And he says that the product already exists and is widely used in the livestock industry.
Yeah, it's not pets. This is pets. This is pets. The difference.
It's livestock.
It is, yes. True. No, yes. But yes, but we are looking at domestic pets. We have been thinking about. I mean, livestock is cattle and animals that live in huge herds roaming across the prairies at huge distances. We are looking at animals that are much more domesticated as family companion animals. So that is our intention.
Any more questions, or shall we vote? We'll choose a card.
So I have a question.
Oh, yes.
This notification can be seen also on the dashboard. So do you have the possibility to monitor this real time when you want, on demand, or it's only available as a pop-up message, a warning on your phone? So
well, the information will be available all the time on the device.
Real time.
Well, subject to the transit from the device to our data center and back. But yes, it will be, for all practical purposes, it will be real time. Pop-ups are something that we didn't have in our original proposal, but that's a good idea that we could do that, and that sounds like a great thing. That perhaps, yes, I can think of all sorts of things where perhaps a customer can, if they've got several pets, or to choose which one they want pop-ups on, or which vital signs are the most important, or we actually do have something to do with we can actually have something else.
Next, shall we take a vote on this one?
Yes.
People online, get ready to type a number in. So we had 10,000, we had 21,000, relative to what you've had so far. How much is this one worth? 3, 2, 1, show me. Ooh. 25,000, 25,000, 5, 5, 1. So it's 36,000 plus online, anyone? 10,000 from Alexander, 10,000. So it's 36, 46 divided by.
50,000. We have
50,000. Oh,
Yes.
oh, actually, I missed some grid. So what did I get to? 46. I call it 100,000 divided by, is that 7 of you got 100,000 divided by 7. That is 10, 15,000, 16, 14. That's 14. Okay, close enough. Can I take that card?
Oh no. Oh.
Thank you. Okay, John, please, the next one.
Okay. It's something related to fusion that AI health reports. We will use big data and AI tools to give you health reports, potential illnesses, potential vitals, and any warnings. What could happen based on real data? We use some prediction. So that's another added feature.
So we have reports showing the actual health of the animal. Then we can use AI to look at the trends that the animal has, to see if there's any long-term or short-term variation that are extensive and record-breaking data analysis will show that we can predict or give a warning with a similar level of confidence to what the immediate health is, but to see whether the data that we've got suggests a long-term trend that might need veterinary attention.
It's a comment from New Zealand. I think it can be is helpful also now. A tracking and monitoring device is typically swallowed by the animal and reports location and health markers, temperature, movement, eating, rumination.
Well, that's it. That's very good. We're proposing something that is attached more permanently to the animal, either by a collar or by an implant for a pet.
Do you charge it?
Sorry?
Do you charge it? Because it needs to have some sort of battery, right?
It does. It does.
So that's why they're swallowing it, so they can charge it. I think there's a card or.
Well, that's yes.
Well, that's your okay.
No, that yes, but that is swallowing it. Yes, I mean, firstly, if you swallow it, then it's not going to be in there for very long. Which
is for chicken, you're going to sausage shop.
Yes.
But if it's not going to be for 10 years, you need.
Yes. Yes. So yes. So firstly, yeah, the external one is easy to charge. You can plug it into a USB or whatever else is appropriate. The implant, we will research the latest technology. It might be that we can have it near the skin and use one of those things to as is used when you rest your phone onto the device, and it can charge that up, so we can recharge it.
So would you sedate the animal? So stop it running around.
Well, so, I mean, some animals might need to be sedated to stop them running around anyway. But these are pets. But yes, we're talking about pets and
Hamsters.
Pets of all sorts are usually fairly calm in the company of their pet owners. But otherwise, yes, as with a visit to the vet, we're doing some inspections of the animal. Then maybe sedation would be appropriate. But we are certainly. If the animal cannot be calmed by the presence of its owners and
Have you thought of a little tiny nuclear reactor? That would that would do its health a lot good as well, wouldn't it?
So the card in play at the moment is
Well, card in play at the moment is use of AI to take the data that we're recording and offer predictions and analysis to allow the customer to take action of veterinary inspections or whatever if the trends suggest that something is likely to crop up.
questions.
I just point of clarification, really. I can certainly see AI would be very useful. But this kind of seems to be two areas of usefulness. One is where it takes the data that you are collecting and applies its intelligence to some. That would work quite well. The only difficulty there is that there's going to be only a limited set of data that you collect. So in a sense, it's collectible data, the vital signs that you can collect. So, but there is another area which I think occurs to me as a pet owner would be useful, is to have access to an AI or generally as a veterinary assistant or a first triage vet, and it will be the same AI. And again, I think the contemporary problem-solving AIs would work quite well for both of those. But what I'm hearing is the first, not the second. Is that what we're voting?
Yes.
Did you kind of understand?
Yeah.
It's the first, so you don't have plans for the second.
That's a potential area for us to look at.
I suppose they're collecting the data which in future might be used for such a veterinary assistant AI. there might be a data play there where they're going to collect this data from all these moggies and then they might sell it on or use it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to kind of turn this into a kind of story, if I take my dog as the example, and I put this on, it will be able to tell me if, for example, it's not getting enough exercise, if it's got arrhythmia, but it won't be able to tell me if the dog has blood cancer. Yeah, but I as the owner might see changes in my dog. The reason it can't tell me that the dog has blood cancer is because it doesn't have blood results. And it won't be monitoring things like be monitoring things like the dog is feeling unwell. And so, but then as a patient, as an owner, I could then either go to a vet and ask that question, which is quite expensive, or the AI could do a half decent job, I think, of being a first triage. Was really where I was coming from. Because there's a bit of me which goes, well, I know we keep saying we're collecting all this data, but actually the ability of a device externally to collect health data, your biological data, is useful, but limited. Would be my view. So I was really kind of pushing for some clarity there. So there's nothing wrong with just doing the first. I was just wondering if they're also going to do the same.
I have a question, if the application has the ability to input details about the dog, like diet and sleep and exercise, this kind of information, this data input in order to decide or get the output of the health situation.
Yeah, that could be done. That's
We have to do that with
data.
Yeah, this kind of animal.
Yes, I mean we have got some other things to do, other things in here to do with the data that and the animal. But yes, there will be, as it were, reference information about the animal, such as at the very least its species and weight and other aspects that will allow us to make use of the veterinary data to see which sort of trends are appropriate for an animal of that particular size.
Shall we vote? Don't you remind us what is the essence of the norm? AI health reports. So an AI that looks at the data and gives you maybe not a perfect health report, but a health report which you wouldn't have had otherwise. So, ready? 3, 2, 1, show me. Ooh, again, 25, 60,000, 70,000, 71,000, 72,000, 73,000. Any more online bids? 73,000 going once, going once. Anyone else online? 73,000 between. I think we agreed with 70, didn't we? So 10,000. Okay. Which of all the wacky ones?
That's a wacky one. I think it's very wacky.
Intruder will give you a notification that is excited. That would indicate that there's an intruder present in your home.
My dog gets excited when Amazon delivers.
That would count.
I would be a bit worried about false positives.
So it's monitoring the sort of vital signs of the animal, and as we know that the maximum and minimums of the variations of those different signs, we can tell which of those signs or combinations of signs show that the animal is reacting to a severe disturbance in what is usual for its environment. So it could effectively act as a burglar alarm, for example.
Or deliveries.
Or deliveries, yes. I mean, on the basis that animals, especially dogs, will, as you say, if an intruder will jump up and down and bark and so on. But if you're not in your home and you've got the device, maybe that will be a useful added value, taking extra value from data that we're already recording for the benefits of the healthy animal. We can use that data That's an added service.
I'm sure having a hamster's alert would be very useful.
They do get disturbed. They do get disturbed. And if you had several hamsters, then and they were all demonstrating the same behaviour, then that would be an added confirmation that there was something untoward happening in your house.
I think you may need some AI
Yeah.
to filter out my dog reacting to the squirrel in the garden. But I imagine it could be done.
But we're not concerned about whether the technology can do so much these days. The question is, of all the technology can do, what is valuable? Is this a valuable feature? Could you see people paying money to have this product?
It depends how much it will cost.
Well, it always depends, but just the idea that they would get their wallet out in the first place.
Yeah.
The amount is less important than the actual payment.
If you saw it, would you go, oh my goodness, I want one of those? That would be really useful. Or not?
Well, it's a feature over and above other features, the way that I'm currently seeing. Because so you're not, it's this kind of icing on the cake.
Icing on the icing.
Icing on the icing. But rather than being a reason why you would necessarily go and buy this, if you're worried about intruders, then this is a bit elaborate, but just for intruders, but you don't just get intruder elements, would be my observation.
Any more questions for entrepreneurs? Anyone online, any questions? We'll move to a vote then. Do you want to look at your cards and no, just pick something that looks a bit wacky. Hey. Intruder alert then. Shall we go to a vote?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Ooh.
Anyone online? Anyone online votes? Anyone online going to vote for that?
1,000. No,
online not voted at all. No.
This looks like the I'm gonna put 2,000 on this for simplicity. Oh dear.
Because online people could vote nothing, couldn't they? If they thought it was really useless.
Yes.
So there is a zero card.
Yeah, there is a zero card. Yes.
Yeah. One of the first times I played this game, I was actually out in Louisiana playing with some teams, and the fantasy product, they'd all invented their own fantasy product, but a bit more time. And they'd written some fantasy product around food truck locators. That you could find out where your favorite food truck was, whether Mexican food or Chinese, and it would show you where they were. And the entrepreneurs were pitching it, and the dragons were lowballing it, and the entrepreneur were really frustrated with it. And then they got to a study, and there was a picture the way around. There's a pitch for the food truck owner to decide where to park their van that day. Where were the good locations? And where do people go for food trucks? And the value shot up. And that was what did it for the dragons on that one. But it was how the entrepreneurs had seen the value for the hungry Joe, they called it, who wanted to go and find his lunch. But the dragons saw the value for the food truck operators. And that was really quite insightful, a different perspective. So sometimes we go through these, they're not alike, but you get to something, and the dragons have a completely different perspective. Let's do one more, and then maybe we'll talk about it.
So this is an accessory to provide a food dispenser. Which will allow you to feed your pet when you're not there. So it's an internet connected food bowl which shows you real time food level in the bowl, and you can dispense the food on a schedule and trigger it in your phone. So you don't know what they're going to do.
So that does exist already as well.
Yeah, but separately.
If I thought of a completely novel product to attach, I would be on Dragon's Den myself, pitching it.
Yeah, most products are going to be in the market
What is
already.
there? What is different from the other competitors?
Presumably you're co-branding it, so.
What is like
It
different?
could be a co-branding work.
So that
Yeah.
if I've invested in your device, then
And device could, the accessory will be aware of the presence of your pet, because it will have the device either around its neck or embedded in it. And it will therefore be able to exclude, well, not as much exclude, only your pet will be able to access it.
yeah,
So that would essentially, and so we could say, as you said, we could say feed the animal at 12 o'clock, but the device will only sort of open when the pet is near. So if, especially, for example, if you have your horse in a paddock, for example, where other people's horses are, and you want only your horse to be fed and not the other horses, then this would allow you to keep the food for your animal. And also it would then stop wild birds and other animals. If you, for example, had smaller animals in a field, it would make it more likely.
Have you looked at the competition for it? Because my brother's got 3 cats and they have things around their neck, which means they eat 3 different foods. It only opens when the cat's neck is close enough to it at certain times, certain foods already.
Can you tell how much they eat?
Yes.
Does
Well,
that
because
as well? It's that as well. And it's frozen, the food is.
But we can also tell from the bio information about it that the animal has enjoyed it and eaten it and is therefore feeling comfortable after the food. So we can monitor the effects of the food on its general well-being.
I'd like to tell you I'm making it up, I'm not.
No, I'm not making this up either. It's our thing.
Ginger, then originally for this, well, the exercise predates this product. I came up with a text bed about 6-7 years ago, and actually at the time, most of this stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's a few people pointed out various bits of this exist. You know, so until I think of some other fanciful product. Stuff it, but technology has caught up with the fancies of a few years ago. But let's stick with this one for now. So this food box is connected to your phone, to a timer, to your pet, monitor the results of the pet eating it. What else we got?
What is the associated cost to secure the ball loading? That's a question that we received online.
We're not talking about costs at the moment. We're talking about business value. We're talking about value to business. We will certainly be researching leading manufacturers of automated device dispensing devices to ensure that we can come up with in a very competitive market to ensure that not only can we compete with these products on the core on the basic facilities they offer, but bring the enhanced value of the communication with the animal and with our health information and website. So it all adds, the different features that you are willing to support will all assist the success of the product.
There's definitely value in it.
I'm wondering if you have to do it yourself. So
We are willing to partner with
Exactly. Yeah, good.
to bring added value to their.
yes, yes, and pulling data back off the device. Yeah, that's
And it will add
find
to
out
their-
has eaten this much this today, or he didn't eat yesterday.
Yes, you know, he wasn't eating, so you might detect an illness there. The pet is going to his food.
Yes. Yeah. I was initially drawn to it because my dog wants treats all the time.
I'm
to make
honestly
it
not
better?
sure, because in the US they call it Shark's Tank. So are they meant to be sharks? And in Japan they're called, is it money tigers? It has different names and it goes around, so it's something, I think it's getting the aggressiveness, there's a bit of a, not
I think
aggressiveness, confrontation. What this actually is this is a version of what the military call red teaming.
Yeah.
You've got one side proposing an idea, and the other side are licensed to poke holes in and find weaknesses, and in the process suggest ideas, which, although you'll find the idea of red teaming in a lot of books, they say you've tried red teaming. I can't think of anyone who's really done it for real. It doesn't happen very often. But because our dragons here are licensed, you're playing a part. And so you can poke holes in this idea. Could you imagine in a work environment, instead of someone giving you a business case which you read through and you make some comments in Word, you do this kind of exercise, and some people are deliberately tasked to be the dragons and to challenge them.
Yeah, I think in the business environment, everyone would sort of feel that they're all on the sort of same side. I think the advantage of having the two sides is that it is challenging. I mean, the dragons are not challenging just for the fun of it. I mean, they want to put in, well, they've got loads of money, they want to put in loads of money, and they want to get even more money back.
Yes.
And so they're really saying they're really checking how much faith the entrepreneurs have in their idea, because the entrepreneurs could just walk into, I want loads of money, and here's money, we'll go off and do it. You know, they want to assess the sort of risk, and they've got the value there, but they also, I think, want to know the confidence that the entrepreneurs have in the things that they've got down here, but also perhaps their openness to ideas. That if the as one of the dragons said, there's already something like this. I mean, that doesn't necessarily prove that you don't want to go into it, because there's lots of people competing in lots of markets.
Hey, look,
But you
a
need to
good market to enter is one which already has people in it, because it proves the market exists.
Yeah.
A lot of new products come along and they fail in the market because nobody wants them. Your challenge is to prove there's a market. If there's already products in the market, your challenge is to be competitive with them.
Could be like a sort of external audit, because you get the external auditors in and they can be quite ruthless, but then they walk away. You don't have to go and have coffee with them the next day.
Yes.
And the problem is, if you're confrontational, then you may be very, and you're not trying to be, you're not being vindictive or anything, but effectively you take apart the idea. That poor person, that's your peer, that's somebody you've got to maintain a relationship with. So does that work?
Can't really answer that.
And that's where red teams come in, you see.
Yeah.
Again, the external people that are not going to hang around afterwards.
Yes. Well, in this case, you've licensed some people in your org. Everyone knows they're playing a part. One of the questions I frequently get asked is, who are the right people to do this with? And I would love to think that, the people who we call product managers, product owners, even business champions, and BAs kind of almost falls into that space, but BAs are a little bit more bureaucratic, shall I say. You expect the product manager, product owner to be a bit entrepreneurial. But anyone proposing a business case, I'd like to think they can feel it, they can talk to it. The idea of giving someone a document and say, here's my business case, read it and come back to me. If someone's really pushing something, why can't they stand up and sell it? And if the people you are pitching it to are licensed to poke holes in it, you're on full. Now, back to who should do it, you get different results with different groups. If you have one product manager pitching it to a group of peer product managers, they're all going to be thinking like product managers. Who wants this? Have you validated the customers? Where's it going to fit in the market? Those kind of questions. If they are pitching it to the senior people, they maybe will say, well, what's my return on investment? How do I know I'm going to get my money back? What's the risk here? And even if you're pitching it to your technical team, you get something different, because the technical team will say, they'll say, somebody's already done this. But they will say, that's going to be really difficult to do. They will say, have you thought about it from this angle? Or sometimes they'll say, there's an open source technology we know which we can do for that exactly. And you get this very free-flowing discussion. And Yeah, there's value in doing it with different groups of people. I don't think there's one right group of people to do it.
I can imagine this being quite useful, but well, it's clearly useful. I can imagine this being particularly useful for organizations which are full of ideas, because the research on ideas is quite depressing. Every 3,000 ideas an organization has, only 3 of them ever turn out to be good enough to end up in the marketplace doing good. So it's worked quite from the 1990s. So it might have changed a little bit, but I suspect not. But I think one of the problems in organizations is that people get very attached to their ideas. And sometimes the ideas come from very important people. And it's career limiting to challenge them.
Yes.
So I can imagine as a consultant recommending that an organization puts all of its ideas, irrespective of who they come from, through something like this, and that it's not there to stop good ideas from moving forwards, but to collaboratively develop the ideas, and in that way, it doesn't. Somehow you have to find a mechanism by which having your idea shot down is not either too ego bruising or career limiting, or if you are a senior person, undermining your authority to lead your part of the organization. But having something like this, and particularly when you turn it into a game, because we all know that games aren't for yes. And so gamification is one of the ways of kind of taking away that problem of conflict and failure.
And I think that's why I say, with the exception of Emma, who doesn't have a TV, everybody else is vaguely at the least aware of Dragon's Den. And so by saying we're actually playing the TV show, everyone knows what they're supposed to do. And I've seen some quite hardcore developers suddenly come over all Peter Jonesy and really, and maybe they're just aping the language they've heard on the TV show, but they end up with good questions. It's like, who are your competitors? What's the return going to be on this? And people who others think are really hardcore developers. It turns out that they are business savvy. They have thought of these things, but even if they're not, just repeating what they said on the TV has value. And it's interesting what you said about seniority, because I don't know if you remember 10 years ago now, Amazon produced their own phone, the Fire Phone. And apparently, lots of people in the organization were saying this is not a good, we shouldn't be doing Fire Phone. Fire Phone's going to bomb. But Bezos was pushing it. And although Bezos tries to build this culture where anyone can challenge anyone, and there's challenge mechanisms built within Amazon, because he was championing the Fire Phone, it got through and lost him $1 billion or something. But one wonders if you had something, perhaps not exactly this, but something where people were stepping into a role and somebody who clearly wasn't Peter Jones could turn on Jeff Bezos and say, your idea has been tried by Meta and it went down in flames. Why are you different? Something like that. Or if Jeff Bezos stands there and pitches an idea and nobody says anything, because they're all thinking, this is a pile of poo, but I'm not going to be the one that tells the CEO. What would that tell you if people didn't?
So how far down the ideation do you get before you have this sort of thing going on? Because we were asking questions, and every question was, we haven't got that far yet. But presumably in the Dragon's Den, it is that they actually have done their market research and they have got their prototypes and they have got their. So the problem I see is that organizations are either, as soon as they want, that they don't want to have ideas that they throw away because they've spent money on them. So that's how you go and get innovation. You get, because you only do things that you know are absolutely okay, because otherwise you spend money on them and you throw them away. And we used to have years ago this term called no reserve parking lots. Have you heard of that term? It's American, it was Hewlett Packard. It was an American term, and it basically meant that there wasn't a sign in the car park that said the MD or the CTO. Anybody could park anywhere. What it meant in terms of product development was you haven't got your space. Anybody can be, there might be 6 competing products in the same space, and the best one will win out. And then, of course, what happens then, you start to get McKinsey's in going, oh, this is really ineffective, my God, you know, you need a bit of, look how much you're wasting money. And then, of course, you go down to not doing that, and then you lose innovation. And then actually, that's why HP is not where it was, because the innovation went.
Yeah, so if and Emma and I both know an organisation which hates possibly spending any money that won't show a return, and go through spend vast amount of money ensuring that they don't spend any money that won't give them what they want. I'm sure you've probably encountered such organisations. If you're going to have some innovation, you have to accept some are going to fail. And the more checks you put in to ensure you aren't going to fail, the more you're going to stem the innovation in the first place. So the place to look is the startup industry, venture capitalists. So if you think to start off with, most people will do some kind of bootstrapping. They'll use their savings, they'll use their credit card, maybe they'll do family and friends where they get contributions from people they know. Maybe when they get enough of an idea, they'll go to an angel investor. And angel investors know that a lot of their money is at risk because they're investing very early on. And if it pans out, then they go to a venture capitalist, and venture capitalists, certainly the ones in California, know they invest in 10 and 10 of them will flunk. But out of 100, one of them will be Google or one of them will be Meta, and they'll make up for all the others. You've got to think how your organization will invest in this. But venture capitalists will do Series A and Series, they'll give you so much money. And then you'll have to go back, when the money runs out, you've got to go back to your venture capitalists or find some new venture capitalists who'll give you some more money. And they all know that the earlier they invest, the greater the risk, because less of that due diligence, the validation has been done. But at the same time, by investing early, they've got more skin in the game, they've got a bigger share. Those that do pan out and make billions, they will get more of a return by taking more risk. And the way some organizations get is they want all the risk stamped out before they invest anything, which means that, you know, as economists say, profit is return to risk. If you remove all the risk, you've removed most of the profit. And I would wager this organization I'm thinking of removes most of the profit by having so much governance.
So to that extent, are they all at the same level through their
No, it varies.
so you get some that are just ideas on the whiteboard,
Yeah.
and that's valid to come along and go, let me just draw a picture.
There was one the other day, was a guy who did swimming pools for pets. And the idea is to install them in like garden centres and things. And he built one for himself to help teach pets how to swim. And he found other people wanted it. And he was building them and franchising his business model for like £10,000 a time. And he was doing a handful of deals a year. And he wanted investments to do more deals and to develop a product. And I've seen other episodes where someone goes in there and they've got a pretty reliable shop that's making money, perhaps trading online. And they're saying, look, we've got this, we want to expand it internationally. We want to take them more. Yeah, so it's very variable.
And which one's the most successful? Or it's just down to the idea, or down to the dragons on the day?
Yeah, combination of
Do
all.
they change, the dragons, do they change?
They're usually the same in each series.
And who's Peter Jones? Because that's
He's
John
the
Lewis.
one, I think he's the one, him
Well, you
and
said
Deborah
Peter Jones,
Meehan.
and I think of John Lewis.
Yeah, I do. Him and Deborah Meehan seem to have been in it since the beginning. I think the others, anyway, I don't know, others all seem to have changed slightly over time. Yeah. So the other thing is up here on the wall, we've got any questions online? If you've got any questions online, pop them in the chat. Okay, so up here on the wall, we've got half a dozen stories with values on them. So for starters, before you ever put an effort estimate on any piece of work again, I want you to put a value estimate on it. Why do you go to your technical staff and say, how long will it take to build this? When you're not telling them how much it's worth. Because to any problem, to anything you want, there are multiple solutions. And if you tell them that they've got 2 years to build this and a limited budget, they'll go, oh, well, it's big. And if you say to them, There's this virus started out, or we've just been invaded by Russia. You've got 24 hours to come up with a solution for this and no budget. They will come up with a different solution.
Or you could deep sea.
I have another exercise I do. I should do it for you sometime rather than tell you about it. But I put people into teams, and they say you're competing with each other. And I put a slide up which says, "I want an online shop." I say each team is going to bid to get this contract. And I hand the team out a piece of paper with some more information on it. I say, go away, 20 minutes, come back, and I want to know how much you want to build this, how long it's going to take to build it. If you want to tell me something about your team composition, your technology, feel free, but the two numbers I want is how long and how much. Right? 20 minutes later, come into the room. I go debrief the teams, and the teams on the right, without fail, want $1 million. They'll want 6 months, 9 months, a year. In one case, Team Romania wanted $1.5 million, and they wanted 3 years to build this thing. The teams on the left are trying to desperately contain their laughter, and the teams on the right are reading these stories out, which is very disconcerting. I tend to team on the left. And they want $5,000 to $10,000. They'll do it in 2 weeks, or maybe they'll do it this afternoon. And the teams on the right protest. But when I compare the sheets they've been given, the teams on the right have a story that takes what's on the screen and says, I'm an international widget maker. I intend to cut out my middlemen by selling directly to my customers. I have budgeted $1.2 million for this. I've calculated an EBITDA of this and blah, 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 blah. The teams on the right have been told there's $1.2 million on the table for this. They would be stupid to bid anything less. You want to bid just enough less to make sure you get the gig, but you don't want to leave money on the table. And the teams on the right have a sheet to say, I'm an artisan widget maker. I want to give up my day job and make my widgets my living. If I can make $100,000 a year, I can live my dreams. My accountant tells me I could buy a website for $5,000, but I want an online store. They're both solving the same problem, but one team has been seeded with, we've got millions, and one team has been seeded with, we've got a few thousand. And in the last iteration of this game, I added a new story. It takes $1 million story and it adds an extra paragraph. And it says, we've been advised by MacArthur Consulting to take an agile approach to this and an MVP approach. We are committed to this. And one of the teams will get this extra story. What do you think they come up with?
Spend even more.
Yeah. Come to you in a moment. So yeah, the teams that get the story with the rider about Agile MVP MacArthur Consulting, they are either indistinguishable from the $1 million teams, or in some cases they come up and ask for more. They may say more in their solution about we are going to take an iterative approach and all that, but again they know there's $1 million on the table. Now here's the killer. One of those big consultancies you all know and love, a few years ago, hired me to give a class on, I can't remember what the class was, to the bunch of BAs. Their BAs and project managers were moving from IT to digital. And I was giving them classes. And this exercise was in there. And they had had a whole month of boot camps on being digital project managers, digital BAs. And when they were working through the exercise, one of the teams I went to, they said to me, I remember distinctly, there was 3 women on the team. I remember they were sitting outside the main room, and they said, last week, we had somebody in to show us WordPress, and they got us to install WordPress last Wednesday afternoon and to install Magento website marketplace on it. Last Wednesday, we built this. When we went back to the room with all the teams back together, did you see that in the answers? Well, you saw it, then that team had the $5,000 story, so they came up with it. But the other teams, they still wanted $1 million. And you have to say to yourself, if you are a consultancy and you go in to pitch to a client and they say, we've got $1 million, but we want an MVP and we want an agile approach. Are you going to tell them to spend 10,000 with you? You'd look incompetent, wouldn't you? Online, it sounds like we're replicating the poker approach that you, yes, completely. This is a direct rip-off from Agile, planning poker, estimation poker, call it what you like. And I used to play with regular planning poker cards, but a company called Agile Stationery you might have heard of, they made up these for me with much bigger numbers on. And the game goes a little bit more smoothly. So if you want to play on the cheap, get out your planning poker cards and tell everyone they've been multiplied by 1,000. But yes, it is. On the business side, help requirements. Yes, absolutely. It's Guillaume, isn't it? Because your name scrolled off there. Guillaume, yes, absolutely. We're doing exactly the same thing, but we're talking about business value instead of effort value. And I would like to think before you put an effort value on anything, you put a business value on. Message sent before. Okay. So back to this valuation here. The obvious thing to do is to start with the highest value card and then do the second highest and come down like this, isn't it? Maybe there's a reason why that isn't the best way of doing them. Yeah, but we can have that discussion. We've got this, we can see how this is. It's entirely possible. This 13,000 one, suppose this is dependent on, suppose we want to get this one in the market for the summer holidays. If we can get this in the market for July, when everyone goes on holiday and has to be away from their pets, we could make, all of that 13,000. There's 21,000. Maybe that's not time critical. Maybe that's worth 21,000 today, this time next month, in 6 months, in 12 months. Maybe if we develop the 21,000 first, it's going to take us till September, and this 13,000 is worthless. But if we develop the 13,000 one, and then we develop the 21,000, maybe we'll score 34,000 in total. Once you've got a value on here, you can then talk about what is called cost of delay. How does this value change with time? Not just I want this, I want it tomorrow, but if you get it tomorrow, how much is it worth? If you get it next month, how much is it worth? Value probably declines over time. Some things, if you're going to ship them to the Christmas market, there's a cliff edge there. It's not going to be worth something. Other things will decline slowly over time. So rather than just start at the top and work down, you may want to consider where the value is and how the value is going to change over time. The other thing, the other story I like is years ago, we did this with a law firm. I was working with a company that produced software for law firms. And the software company was producing a new package for the law firm. And we went down to see the law firm. They were going to be the first customer of many. And it's one of those classic, we'll build it once and we'll sell it many times.
Alan, I have to let you know, it's nearly 8.
Oh, one time. Okay, I'll finish on this then, okay? The product manager, she looked through all her stories in Jira. And she divided them, must have, should have, could. And she printed off the must-haves to take down. So we had a thick envelope. And we go down, and we did exactly this. The product manager and the BA who was working with, they pitched the must-have stories to the client, the IT firm and the law firm, and they voted. And the law firm removed more stories in 2 hours than the development team had completed in 2 months, Because with some of the stories, they play, where's the card I'm looking for? They play 0. The product manager had been convinced that some features were must have, but when they were played back to the client said, worthless. We do not want that. Maybe your next client or the client after next wants it, but we do not want that. Do not develop that for us. And the story that scored the highest, 100,000, way above everything else, was, although it made it to the must-have envelope, the product manager had no idea. So this was 9 years ago, and the story the law firm wanted more than anything else was to have their logo on checks. Still, checks were being printed by the system, to have their logo printed on the checks. And that was by far the most valuable story.
I have a question.
Oh.
Can we do this offline because it's 8 and we don't have much time. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a fantastic evening. And we are arranging more events for this year. Visible. And we will be announcing them via email. So please stay safe. 3rd of April. 3rd of April, the second part of the era of empowerment. And then another one on the 10th, it's going to be a joint event with consultancy. We will be sending more details. Thank you.